differently abled, differently.
As a caregiver, Pauline has dedicated her life to providing support, therapy, and a nurturing environment for individuals with diverse needs. Her story is one of deep personal commitment. Take a look.
My name is Pauline Elizabeth Wamko. I'm a trained journalist, but because of the journeys of life, I ended up being an autism mom, a psychologist, a behavioral therapist, and a music therapist.
Pauline's love for her son Mali transformed her into a beacon of hope for countless families.
We do not have a special society, so it has to start with us. My friends told me, but you are a trained journalist. Why don't you do a research and find out the best way? Because even the doctor would just tell you these are the only available interventions. So you feel like there's no hope, there's no future, there's nothing you can do. And as a mother, that is the worst thing that you can ever feel, that there's nothing you can do to support or help your child when they are facing a challenge.
As it is for many parents in Kenya, it took a while before she was able to get proper diagnosis for her son.
The first child was very easy. And firstborns, you're always helped by the parents. And there was no challenge. She walked in time. She spoke in good time. She went to school. But when I got Mali, I didn't know what to do because I was busy in working. And my mother came and visited once. And she told me this child is not speaking. And he's almost 2. You people are keeping the child in the house. You know how parents are. And I was like, really? I just decided to take him to school. And after one time in school, the school called me and told me they feel like there's a challenge. My son has a challenge, and recommended I go to hospital and maybe seek further help. So when I went to hospital, we were told to do some tests. There are some forms they give you, when you are determining milestones, if your child has hit those milestones or not. And I just started panicking. I actually broke down in the hospital room, and the doctor was like, don't worry, just finish, let's do the test, then we know what we're dealing with. And after a few days of waiting, I got the autism diagnosis.
This period was marked with denial and indecisiveness.
When you're sitting in that room and you're being told it's a lifelong disorder, there is no cure. And then you ask, okay, so what can I do? You're told the only thing you can do are therapies. At that time, you don't even know what autism is. In that room, you just feel like, I actually thought he was going to die. I thought it was a disease and my child was going to die, and I went into depression. I really don't blame parents for everything they do. Just by the time you really understand what really counts in the journey of intervention. Let me tell you, I went to waombaji, pastors. I remember there's one pastor who told me I should buy white clothes because the devil of autism, the spirit of autism, comes at night, and when you wear white. So I went and changed everyone's outfit in the house, and everyone was dressed in white. At night when we sleep that way, I was told there's some water that if I wash him with it, I did all that. I did all that, and knowing very well that I've done my research and interventions, but you always go for the solution that you think is quick, but not understanding that it is only interventions that can really help. So I went through all that journey, prayers, fasting. I even made the child fast for a few days because I was told that once the fasting, there's a way it heals the whole body, Oh my God, it's such a journey, a caregiver. It's a confusing journey, and when there's no manual to tell you from this place to this place, it is really, you get lost.
Seeking answers, Pauline embarked on a journey far away from home.
After 1 year of the interventions in the country, I felt like we were not really fully equipped with information, with training, because the number of the children was a lot. And you can imagine going to a public hospital and your child needs minimum of 3 sessions of speech therapy in a week. Minimum. Occupational therapy, minimum 3. And then when you go to that hospital, you stay the whole day because all parents are there. Maybe it's the only hospital offering. That is then when we got the diagnosis. And then you're only told you can have 1 session in a month. And the doctor has said if you need to help this child, you need a minimum of 3. So it doesn't really make sense. So I decided to leave the country. I dropped everything. I stopped working. We sold houses, cars, because leaving the country, even the air ticket only, and the treatment was very, very expensive. So remember, I had other children. Dropping everything, leaving the country, just to support this one child. Sometimes it doesn't really make sense, but when you understand that early intervention is the only way possible to give the children with disabilities a chance in life to live a near normal life, you have to do it. So I left an 18-month-old baby. I left the country, big girl in school, and I went and we started the journey.
While abroad, she witnessed firsthand the transformative power of specialized interventions.
What I learned first when I came here, remember I was trained out of the country. So I had these standards, high standards that I wanted for the children, that I wanted for the staff that are going to work here. I realized that we need African solutions for African problems, and I'm very happy that because of pushing, the ABA Council has awarded the African behavioral therapists a leeway to train our teams in their own way and to create programs in our own way, because it was very rigid. We had to, even when you are doing an assessment, we had to wait for 3 to 4 for someone who's in America to do an assessment, because it was very strict that it had to be done in a specific way. So I've learned to be flexible when it comes to the therapists. I've also learned to listen to these young people that are coming in with a fresh mind. They will tell you, this child is crying because of 1, 2, 3 things. Why don't we try 1, 2, 3 things and it works? No. I've also learned to be very patient, especially with our caregivers, because it is a journey. And because I'm a psychologist, and my main focus is on parents therapy. If you are able to work on the parent, you will see progress in the child.
And she didn't just observe, she learned.
I went to the States and to Florida. That is where we started our intervention. And the boy was going in therapy 6 hours in a day. And I didn't have anything to do. So the therapist there, so I would wait for him for the 6 hours, get a book, read. And because where we stayed was a bit far, and remember we are saving costs. So I'll just go with my packed food, stay in the center, and just wait for him to finish. And one of the administrators there told me, we actually have a program for training parents. Why don't you get certification so that we can reduce the hours? Because I feel like it's too expensive. So instead of coming for 6 hours, you can do 4 hours, but the 2 hours you handle it. So I went back to class. I did the online certification. I did a few hours there at the center, and I was able to now become certified behavioral therapist. So when I did that, I was able to reduce the hours. And I realized we're actually paying a lot of money, and yet it is not rocket science.
When she returned home, her vision came to fruition and Mali Therapy Center was established.
I started thinking, what if I started something like this back home to help other children? Because in my own family, we have another child who's on the spectrum. So, and they were not able to afford the intervention that my son was getting. So that is how I started it. I started it online. I started educating my nephew's parents on how to support him on diet, everything that I had learned from there, and we started seeing progress. So what would happen, we would stay there for 6 months, then come back for 6 months. So in these 6 months, I would be my child's therapist, caregiver, everything. So I started taking in a few more kids just in the house. I would take in a few more kids. I would talk about my journey on Facebook, on Instagram, and I started receiving calls. From that, I opened a small office, and I would have maybe 3-4 children in a day. And with the support of my instructor, who was in the States, I was able to prepare programs, routines for these children, and that is how Mali therapy was born. But the parents, the push from the parents, they were like, you know what, we need to do this. Most of them actually did the certification course, and we started now helping more parents. And they went back to their jobs, but I stayed because I discovered that I had just found my purpose in life. So we got trained professionals in occupational therapy, in ABA, in speech, in music therapy, and we also included special education. Why special education? We are preparing our children for the mainstream schools because most of the schools lock out our children because they don't know what to do with them. So our teachers are fully trained, equipped in all the other departments. They've sat in the speech department and said, so when they're sitting there, they're able to train the children to be ready to be going to school. And we have schools that we have partnered with. We go there, we train their teachers. So it is so easy when you leave Mali, you are able to integrate into mainstream schools.
Managing the center has its own highs and lows.
Other therapies like behavioral therapy, they are not common. So you have to train them yourself from zero, pay for the training, train them, give them those hours and make sure they're qualified to even start working with a child. So you might find you've employed an individual who has stayed here for 4 months, not touching any child, but just getting the experience, getting the certification after 4 months. It is very expensive. A therapist needs their own therapist. We have an in-house psychologist who is here twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that is where we download our stresses, our challenges, and we are able to cope.
Driven by the ever-growing need, she is now working on having a school to accommodate learners with neurodivergent conditions.
Because of our backgrounds in Africa, parents were like, okay, so when is my child going to go to school? They're like, your child does not need education, but you know where we come from. If your child doesn't go to school, then you're failing as a parent. So we sat down with the team that we had and we decided that why don't we operate Mali as a school? Have a number of therapists under one umbrella, and then the children can come from age to 3, because every child needs minimum of 3 sessions of each therapy in a week.
Pauline has turned her personal journey into a legacy of hope, empowering generations of children to embrace their unique abilities and build a brighter future.
Somebody was asking me the other day about succession. Like, what is my plan? Why Mali Therapy Center? And I told them I found my purpose, and I don't know what I would be doing if I did not have a child with autism. So the main goal is an inclusive society. I would love to have a society where we enter in any community and you're able to see a school that is inclusive. And when we're talking about inclusion in schools, I'm looking at therapies that we have, occupational therapists, speech therapists, we have assessors in that school. I would love to go to a hospital and see that the women who are there for their clinics, they are taught about what to eat, what not to expose themselves to, how rest is important, how prolonged labor, so that affects the birth of the child. I want to see the pediatricians immediately, early enough, encouraging the parents to get diagnosis, encouraging them to go for early intervention methods in case there's a challenge. I want to go to the communities where in churches we have Sunday school for neurotypical and neurodivergent children, because they need to be included. I want a restaurant where we enter and when my child is arranging glasses and cups, people don't look weird and we are asked to leave. We are accommodated because we are an inclusive society. I want to travel out of the country, and when I get to the airport or even to the SGR terminal, they understand that I cannot queue for too long because of the disability. I want systems that work. If you say the National Council is providing aid, let us see the aid getting to the children. That is what I call an inclusive society. And I believe this will happen because we have made tremendous steps. From the time we got the diagnosis for my son to today, there's a lot that has changed.
We're differently abled, differently.